those of you who aren't entirely sure what gluten is, where it is, things like that, let's just get in there. So gluten is a protein that is found in specific grains. So your gluten grains are wheat, barley, and rye. So with wheat, that includes any of its varieties or derivatives, like spelt is a variety of wheat, therefore it would contain gluten. Anything made with barley, like malt is made from barley, so therefore it contains gluten. And then I list oats on here. Oats is a tricky one. So oats in and of themselves are technically gluten-free, but the way food manufacturing is done at minimum in the United States, the same manufacturing equipment is typically used to harvest and process oats as what is used to process wheat. Because of that, the oats then become cross-contaminated with little bits of wheat and therefore are not safe if you have celiac disease. Now, fortunately, since we've discovered the source of the trigger, gluten, for celiac disease, there now are manufacturing lines that are dedicated to the harvesting and production of oats and can certify their oats as being gluten-free. So if you have celiac disease, you can eat oats as long as they have the gluten-free label on the package. So just to be aware of. So there's lots of potential sources of gluten. Commonly foods that are often made, typically of wheat, but potentially other gluten-containing grains would be things like pastas, breads, crackers, lots of your just packaged foods in generals. Then checking sauces, gravies, seasonings, it's important. And when I say seasonings, I don't mean like your bottled basil is fine. It's not gonna be cross-contaminated with gluten. We're talking about like a mix, a seasoning mix where it's got a long ingredient list. Sometimes it contains wheat or other gluten-containing grains in that seasoning mix. That would be your risk. Certain beverages, the big one that usually comes to mind is beer. They do make gluten-free beers these days, but you do specifically need to order gluten-free beer. And then medications and supplements, that one is a tricky one. Your best resource for checking whether the medication or supplement you've been prescribed to find out whether it's gluten-free is honestly your pharmacist. You can always talk to your doctor, absolutely, but they're gonna probably direct you to your pharmacist anyway because they are the experts on what's in the medications and they know which manufacturers to call to confirm if there's any questions, and they're always happy to do so. I love pharmacists. So just, ask any questions to them. They will be happy to help clear up any confusion you may have. So some other potential gluten risks would be things at church, for example. Your communion wafers are commonly made with wheat flour. Some have started going to rice flour ones to make them gluten-free because wheat is a top allergen. So even for people without celiac disease, there's growing percentage of people, children especially, who have allergies to wheat. So it's beneficial for church. So it might be something to talk to your church about once people are regularly returning to in-person church services and things like that, if that's a concern. Arts and crafts supplies. This is usually a big one if you have kids with celiac disease. Touching a art or craft supply that has wheat is not going to necessarily trigger the autoimmune response. The issue is if you aren't careful about washing your hands thoroughly after you have touched those things. And as we know, kids are not always very mindful about what's on their hands before they put them back in their mouths. So Play-Doh is commonly made with wheat. You can buy gluten-free Play-Doh now these days, which is great. And then like paper mache is another one. So it's just good to check on the ingredients list. Now, oral care and dental products typically are gluten-free, but there's never any harm in just giving a quick little glance to the ingredient list and making sure that there's no surprises there. But fortunately, most of the time these days, these are now all gluten-free. Any cosmetics that you're using near your mouth, lip balm, lipstick, things like that, while there should not be enough gluten in any of these products to actually trigger an autoimmune response, there are plenty of anecdotal stories from people with celiac disease that say that they felt worse or noticed symptoms when they were using products that contained wheat or gluten. So it may just be something to look into and see what alternate product is available and see if that helps you.